Warning, this podcast contains explicit sexual language and should only be listened to at work if you're looking for an excuse to connect with your HR representative. Additionally, all mentions of the word women include cis, trans, NB, genderqueer, gender fluid, and those still figuring it out. Yes, you are welcome here.
Will you open up with me? These pages, they can feed your innermost desires. Do you feel inspired? Are you getting what you need? Are you coming curiously? A secret safe with me. And here you can simply be yourself. Jace reads romance. Come on in, come on in, come on.
Hi, y'all. This is Jace, and you found Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance novels. It's me, Jace, she, they, and we are trying something new this month. This is a request by our editor, Michael. If you have not listened to his takeover episode, go. He runs the show. He makes me sound good. Thank you for your service. But he suggested doing a longer formed monthly wrap up of the books I've read. If you follow me on social media, I usually do a yes, no, maybe, because that alone can take quite a few minutes. And I'll do longer form thoughts videos on each book individually. But if you want to get a full scope of all the things that I read, and I do read a lot, I try to vary the books that I read, both by topic, by author, queer, straight, BIPOC, and all humans in between. So we're going to test it out. If this works for you, let us know, and we will continue this trend. If you want me to keep it on my socials, then I can also do that as well. We are also joined today by Sephi, who I'm sure is going to ask some fun questions.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Oh, it's funny because there are books that I thought I'd never have to talk about again. And then Michael suggested this, and I went, oh, but that means I have to talk about this book.
He's really good at that.
He's so good at pushing you out of the zone of comfort and into where you need to be.
It's true.
So it's true. Some disclaimers, some notes, as I am wont to do. I read a lot. This is my job. It is literally my job to read books. It is structured into my work week to read books. So my number of books read is quite high. I also know, because I've looked this up, I know that I am a fast... Hi, Tiger.
Yeah, hello, Tiger. I'm sorry.
Hello, Tiger. I know that I am a faster than average reader. I know that. I can do more than a page a minute, which I think is kind of the average reading speed, about a page a minute. If I remember, I don't remember what the actual data was. I went, oh, I read faster than that. And and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So if you're going to stick me next to someone, I will most likely finish a book before then. So anyway, do not judge your own reading consumption based on the amount of reading that I've done. Yeah, so no judgment on what you read or how you read. I read a lot. I read for pleasure. I read for work. I structure my day so I have reading time. And then when I feel sad, or I wake up in the middle of the night, or when I want to take a bubble bath, I read some more.
Do you have it on I saw something on TikTok where they had a chip clip attached to a badge reel so that they didn't drop their book in the bathwater? You need to
Oh, no. So no, I use an e-reader that is waterproof because I don't trust myself around
that's handy.
Water and books. Yeah, because I read both physical books and ebooks, I can do that. So basically, the plan as of this moment is to go through the books that I've read, give you an incredibly, laughably short synopsis and tell you what I liked about the book, if I liked the book. There are going to be a few of these that are secrets for a future episode, so sorry, I'll just mention what they are. Maybe we'll make a little announcement in this book, in this episode. Ooh, maybe this will be a secret announcement episode.
Ooh.
Also, I don't think I have a new camera, and y'all don't see this because this isn't oral medium, but oh my gosh, leaning into my camera. Thank God I'm not an actual film actress.
Whatever.
My bedroom eyes are only for Seffi.
I feel so special.
Thank you. All right, should we get started?
Yeah.
Amazing. So like I said, 27 books in the month of May. Some of these were audiobooks as well. If you know me, I am doing my best to listen to audiobooks for context, which has not been I struggle. I put them in the background. I'm like, oh good, someone's fucking, but no drama happens, so it doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, I just found all of the Black Dagger Brotherhood on audiobook, and I'm falling asleep to that. I am falling asleep to the beautiful, beautiful sounds. So I'm working really hard to listen for context. I know.
Well, I know what my next audiobook grouping is.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh. That's Zadist,
That's
I love
dangerous.
you. So anyway, I'm trying to listen for context more. I often will find audiobooks of books that I've written or books that I've read already. So it's not as important that I pay attention because I'm doing other things. So for these audiobooks, take it with a grain of salt. However, that's not what I started with. That's not the first book I finished in the month of May. That would be Silver Brewer by L.B. Dunbar. This was a conference author. And my favorite thing, okay, so 3-sentence synopsis. Older woman trying to make partner at real estate firm goes to bid on piece of land and finds smoking hot silver fox instead.
Yes.
Cool?
Yes. I love it.
Awesome. Laughably short. Like, I'm laughably short. So here's what I liked about this book. This book is about people who are older in their 40s and 50s finding each other and getting together. It is not age gap where he's 50 and she's 20. No, it is just older humans. And I liked that because the feelings of an older human, sometimes I just want to deal with adults, right?
Yes.
I just want to deal with an adult. I don't care about your 18-year-old feelings. Sometimes college just feels too insignificant in life for me to cut any slack. So the things that they dealt with were adult grown-up things. Also, they were long distance. So it made their miscommunications a little bit more believable and slightly less annoying to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally get that.
Yeah. I also loved that they were on this fascinating journey of sexual exploration with each other. Both of them, when they got together, had a moments of, wow, I didn't know it could be like that. In their 40s and 50s, which I feel like gives me hope that the next, that I'll reach the next level, or that there's still more to explore in my sexual self, even though I am an established adult in the world.
Yeah, which makes total sense. I love that it's an older romance.
L.B. Dunbar
I love it a lot.
L.B. Dunbar is older. I believe the whole series is older. I believe that might be her whole shtick. This is the only one that I've read. The cover is adorable. And the cover is so adorable. The other thing about them being older, and maybe the author being older, or maybe just the world that we're fucking living in, is every single time they fuck is all about her clit. He touches it, she touches it, he demands she
Yes.
touch it. It's all about like, let's get some external clit stimulation happening. And if you don't know why that's important, just you wait for next week's episode. Just you wait. So that made me, I really enjoy. That was a good book to start the month off with.
Yeah. You don't hear a lot about older romances. Like
No.
I think it's again in the whole society, Tiger's being dumb. The whole societal idea, like you have to find romance by a certain age, otherwise your body clock is ticking and running out and you don't have time for it. No.
Yeah, for women.
Romance happens
really,
at any age.
It's so awful. And so this book was a really good one to start off on. The next book I finished is The Trouble with Hating You by Sanjni Patel. And this book was just not very spicy. And it shocked me because, okay, here's the crazy synopsis. Leah is ostracized in her Hindu Indian community for being what everyone calls a slut. Jade doesn't give a fuck. That is laughably short. However, here's the thing that surprised me about why it wasn't steamy. Everyone makes such a fucking big deal about Leah's promiscuity and the fact that she's had sex. But Jay even is like, I've had sex with girlfriends, and it's, I guess I know I'm not supposed to, but nobody makes a big deal of it. Nobody makes a fucking big deal out of it at all.
Yeah.
And they do for Leah. And then at some point she's like, I've only had sex with 6 people. I'm like, girl, you're in your late 20s and you've only had sex with 6 people, and that is where all of this fucking drama is coming from? Are you out of your fucking mind? That's like one every other year.
Yeah.
It was so weird to me. And early in the book, there was this moment where she's making out with this guy and she's like, I guess I want to get off. And I'm like, okay, great. She's promiscuous. This is before I found out her number. And then it doesn't happen. But I was like, okay, so you're gonna, like, she's like, I just want the release of sex with a partner. I'm like, great, awesome, dude. Like, go do whoever you want, because who gives a fuck? And then it doesn't happen for reasons that are very, very valid, because that dude was a fucking asshole. But the fact then that she's like, I've only had sex with 6 people, and this book was so lightly spiced when they actually get to, I was just so surprised. And how are you making such a big deal out of her promiscuity when it's not a part of this story at all? And sex, it really, that threw me for a loop.
Sure. I know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know that it's definitely a different culture, because I've dated a couple of Hindu gentlemen and it's very different.
And that was my favorite part. That was my favorite part about the book, is this insight into this other culture, because being in America, there is a purity culture, but it's based on Christianity and Jesus. And you forget that it's not only Jesus and people who love Jesus, not Jesus, because Jesus didn't give a shit, but people who love Jesus that put purity culture upon women. It is many cultures all over the world, and it should all be stopped. So the insight into, right? But the insight into this particular culture, and the author in her author's note states that she wrote this book to call out and hope to change that purity culture that she witnessed growing up. And so
I love that.
I liked this book because it was so eye-opening for me that as someone who, as much as I didn't grow up in my immediate sphere with that purity culture, it was just the culture of America where I went, that's fucking weird. I don't know why y'all believe that, but that it exists in many different forms, and to be knowledgeable about how it affects you differently. While there's it, even when there's gossipy family members, there isn't the community shunning in most stories in Judeo-Christian America world that there was in this group. And I think that also, I don't know if the same is said for communities in India, where you are not the minority fighting for your place or fighting to be validated in where you live. But I do find that people, when you have a minority culture, religion, identity, you group together and you form micro communities of people who are like you in the midst of this. So I wonder if that that mishigas, that drama, that gossipy nature exists throughout that culture all over the world, or if it is unique to the more insular immigrant communities in America.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point. I'm sure it's got to be similar because people are people. I mean, no matter where you're at, they're gonna people. So I'm sure a form of it is prevalent in every culture, every nation, everywhere, and I'm also sure that the purity culture that exists in the Christianity leaning areas of America does not lend itself to making it easier to jump that, like get away from that in immigrant societies as well, if that makes sense.
I think purity culture is stupid.
Agreed.
Sorry. I don't think you're stupid if you believe in, like, I think if you are someone who wants to wait until marriage to have sex, that is a totally valid thing. I'm talking about purity culture where you shame people for their sexual choices that they make with other consenting adults. Nope, wrong.
Exactly.
Nope. Get the fuck out. And if you're going to fight me on that, I don't care. The next one.
The key thing here is you don't shame people for their choices that make no impact on yourself.
If we could repeat that with a louder volume and not blow out your ears, I would. If it doesn't affect you directly, it doesn't affect you at all. So, moving on to Flirting with Fire by Piper Rain. This is a... Okay. All right. Girl gets set up on a date with her high school crush who doesn't remember her. They end up business partners trying to flip a house and chemistry ignites.
Okay.
He's a fireman also. Like, I don't feel like I really need... Oh, I should... You know what? Flirting with fire does not imply fireman. He's a firefighter. So...
Okay. Yeah.
This book was kind of forgettable for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't love it. I honestly found there's like a trio of female friends and the trio of brothers, and they all are at this charity event, and the friends bid on bachelor dates for each other, and they all pick a brother. So basically all three couples that are going to get set up to each other. And I feel like the other couples are more interesting. Or they seem more interesting in this book. Like maybe this was like this was the soft launch of these people, but they weren't terribly interesting. It started with a moment that they had in high school where she was like, I'm clearly in love with you. And he was like, I'm drunk as shit and won't remember kissing you. And then it never comes back. It isn't even like he has a moment where he's like, oh, I remember that night at the bonfire. So like, why did I need to know that in the first place? Why did you need them to kiss in the first place? Yeah. So they go on their date and it's terrible. Oh, but then she flips houses and he's trying to get into flipping houses and they end up bidding on the same house and they become business partners, which is, I guess, the only workplace romance that I don't mind, because I find with a lot of workplace romances, there's a power dynamic that makes it kind of icky, but they go into this together and they're working together. He does the labor, she does the design aspect of it. And over the time together, they, fall for one another. I couldn't even tell you this. I highlighted nothing in the spice. I know there was spice. I highlighted nothing in the spice with this book. Oh, yeah, it was just forgettable. Was it bad? No, I don't remember being mad about anything. I don't remember being like, how dare you? Or that's ridiculous. But it just felt forgettable. If you're looking for, I wouldn't even call this a second chance romance because they didn't get together. They're not friends to lovers. I don't know. Or if you like Piper Rain, their style is yours, I'd say go for it. But for me, it made it forgettable. If you are a Piper Rain fan and you have a book of theirs that they're a writing duo that I should read, that is better, not necessarily spicier, but just better. Sure. I'm not opposed to it. I really liked them. They were another conference read, and they were a lovely duo when I saw them at a panel. So
question.
yeah.
How does the firefighting come into play at all?
Yes and no. There's some drama where a friend of his died in a fire like a year ago, and he helps take care of the widow and son. Like it's his best friend, so he like helps take care of the widow, and she kind of is like,
Sure.
I think I'm in love with you, and he's like, nope. But there's also some secret drama between the best friend that, you know, he's reckoning with, but he doesn't want to like tell. And then there is a big fire where like, like firefighting is dangerous. I will give you that. There's a fire where there's kind of some scary stuff happening.
Okay.
But not really. He's a firefighter.
So that's the only callback to the title?
He's a firefighter. Yeah, that's it. He's a firefighter. It's the series is like the Blue Collar Brothers. He's a firefighter. One of the brothers is on the police force, and one of the brothers is a paramedic.
Okay.
So that's there you go.
Okay.
So we went from a book that was forgettable to a book that I wish I could forget. I wish I could forget this book. This book.
Oh, is this this one that you mentioned?
You probably mentioned it. The Doctor by Nikki Sloan. Oh my God, y'all. I'm not even going to try and be nice in this synopsis. Girl fucks ex-boyfriend's estranged dad. Oh, she's 19. There we go. 2 sentences. She's 19. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So she's been dating this dude for like 3 years. So since she was 16. And since he
Wait, how old was he?
The boyfriend, not the doctor. The boyfriend or the ex-boyfriend, since she was 16. And he came to live with his estranged dad, the doctor. And then after their first year of college, they break up and she starts fucking his dad. Oh God. Like it just was so icky.
My face right now.
I know. Look. Okay, he's 40, she's 19.
Oh.
Right? Or in his 40s? He can't be 40 because then he'd be so young. No, 21. Yeah. So he's 40, she's 19. And look, I don't love those types of age gaps to begin with, but this one just kept reminding me of it and kept making it icky. Like him confessing the first time he thought about her inappropriately was over a year ago when she showed up for prom.
Nope.
And then she's like, you know what I'm going to do? Reenact prom, and shows up in her fucking prom dress. Did we make the sound at the exact same time?
Yes.
So like, okay, like you want an age gap, that's fine. But this was so fucking icky. And it makes me really sad because separate of the plot, the spice was so good. It was so spicy. Oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, this spice. Oh, you reminded me of the relation. Like it was so upsetting because the spice was so good and the communication was so good. And like they talked about kink and they talked about consent and they talked about what do I want and how do I please you? And like all of this stuff, like what is your fantasy? Let me give it to you. They had a moment when she was like, are you going to carry me up the stairs? And he's like, no, girl, you're heavy. Like, I don't want to drop you on the stairs. And I was like, thank you. Someone needs to say that. It is not easy to carry a human up the fucking stairs. So like, oh God, I was like, God damn it. Why? Everything about it makes me ick when I realize the plot. And like at the end, she's like, I went back to college. And I'm like, just Oh my God. The plot of it is so icky. And it's not like Praise where they're in their mid-20s and she's never met her ex-boyfriend's dad ever. No, she's known him for 3 fucking years. She's
Since
known
she was
him
below the
16.
age of consent. Oh.
16. I don't care that you finally fucked when she's 19. You started thinking about her when she went to prom. Even if she was 18, that is so wrong. And she's like, the dress made you look so old and mature. It's the first time I thought about you. I'm like, doesn't fucking matter. I don't care if you got it in the adult section and not Bloomingdale's Juniors. You're still 18 at prom. My dress came from the adult section. I was still 18.
Yep. Exactly.
If a 40-year-old man came up to you and was like, you look super hot, I'd be like, 18, bitch. I still, like, it doesn't matter.
I wouldn't even say 18. I'd just be like, I'm still in high school, bro.
I'd be like, this is my prom dress.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. I mean, like, it didn't look like a prom dress because I didn't buy it in a prom section, but it still was my fucking prom dress. And I was still 18. I was still in high school. Oh my God. So
I don't have a big problem with age gap romances, but that big of an age gap where he's known her before she was the age of consent or vice versa, if it's an older female with a younger male or whatever.
Yeah, no. That part was so icky. That part was so icky to me.
It's just a no.
Couldn't. I've read age gaps before that were less icky to me. This one just kept, the ick factor was too much for me. I found my ick factor and it is age of consent. And it's not even like you knew each other before the age of consent. Like,
right.
It's, you know, if she was like graduating college and, you know, whatever, I think I would feel differently, but it's the fact that she is 19 and he makes the comment about prom. I will forever. So like, and it makes me so sad because Nikki Sloan has so many other things and people rave about her and the spice was so good. It was so good. Like if I could just remove the spice and give you the spice, Seffi, I feel like you'd be like, this is great. Yeah, it is. But I cannot with that plot. So I think I need to separate myself from her for a very long time, but I would like to read other things of hers in the future because the spice was so good. Next book was Archer by Dr. Rebecca Sharp, another conference book. And I liked this. Girl in Witness Protection pretends to be dead in order to hide from the mob, runs into the detective who was protecting her and presumed her dead. She was 19 when they met. She's like 23 now. So like nothing happened when they were 19. They had like the shit a kiss. She was like, I've never been kissed. I want to kiss someone. And they kiss. But like he's been mourning her because he thinks he got her killed for 4 years and ran away from Boston where they were to his tiny ass town in Wyoming. I think it's Wyoming.
Okay.
It's one of the square states where nobody actually lives. Shouldn't be a state. More people live in Puerto Rico than your state. More people live in Washington, D.C. than your state. And for some reason, you get 2 senators. I don't know why. So, but so like she's sad because she left him in this connection. And after her dad dies, she's like, I want to start over and I want to feel close to this man I left behind. So I'm going to go to Wyoming, even though he never told me where he lived. Ends up in his hometown.
Magical travel.
Magical. He started a security firm with his brothers. They're not billionaires. Weirdly enough, I kept being like, oh my God, is he going to be a secret billionaire? And he wasn't. And that made it for me. I was like, great, you're not a billionaire. You're just a dude who protects billionaires. I don't know why. I was like really pleased with the lack of billionaire. The plot was fine.
I get that though. Because you're like, it always ends up that way. Oh, he's secretly a billionaire and just doing this for fun.
Or like, oh, this company made him a millionaire or billionaire or whatever the fuck it was. No, he's just like a dude. And I liked it because there was mafia drama, but they weren't in the mafia. And the actual, you know, crimes that get discussed in this story are theft rather than drugs and murder. But there is there's this tension of, I've found you, will the mafia find you? Is any bad thing that's happening to you the mafia coming to get you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there is this tension around them. It's a deflowering story, which is never my favorite. Because every single time I read a deflowering, I'm like, it would never be that good in real life. Sorry. That's not how that works. But the first time they get together, he like goes down on her like a champ. And he confesses in his brain, goes down on her like a champ. And he's like, well, I have been mourning her for 4 years. And every time I've tried to fuck a good woman, I feel like I'm cheating on her. So I've gotten really good at going down on women to placate them after leading them on all night. So I'm like, all right, tell me more about that thing you do with your tongue.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I kind of like that the drama around like is it the mob finding you? It reminds me of the movie Sleeping with the Enemy. She basically leaves her abusive husband and like starts a new life and is terrified that he's going to find her again. It's a really like super suspenseful, dramatic movie.
Yeah, not my jam, but. This also is the beginning of a series. Okay, he works with his brothers. They're a bunch of brothers. So I know. Never, not going to turn away a brother situation. So if that's your jam, absolutely go for it. This next one was Blindsided by Amy Dawes. And this is, I'm just going to give you the tropes. Enjoy. Friends to lovers, fake dating, dating coach, kissing coach.
Interesting.
It was so great. Okay. So here's the caveat. Blindsided is absolutely down the list in her series. You 1,000% are like, ooh, those are couples that I'm sure have other books. I know they have other books. I have not read those other books. Just slide past them. I don't know the drama. I'm going to trust the drama was there and there's a book that would explain it, but I don't know what it is and I'm going to be okay with that. This was so fun. Okay. So fun. There is a quote. It's not about forearms, so I feel like I can say it. So I know we've got Freya and Mac. Mac is a soccer player, a footballer. They're in London. And Freya is a seamstress and like a weird cat lady. I love her. And they're like absolutely best friends. They Netflix with no chill in the secular sense, but like in the literal sense, absolutely they Netflix and chill all the time. And then... But at one point she's like, bloody hell, even his ankles are fit. I didn't know ankles could be fit until I saw his very large bare feet propped up on my sofa table for the first time. The veins that run up his calves are immense.
I love that so much.
I know. She doesn't talk about, like, it's, oh my God, it's so great. So there's a lot of really fun banter. Freya is, if you're someone who like doesn't mind a weird, quirky FMC, she is weird and quirky, and they are best friends. And she, oh my God, it's like this crazy night out. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? She's like, because she's lying about her sexual experience, which is zero. She has zero experience. It's very funny.
She's trying to make it look like she has
more
experience.
A drunk game of Never Have I Ever, but everybody's using the like Urban Dictionary terms. So she's like, that sounds fun. And you're like, oh my God, no, don't pretend that. And he's like, what the fuck did you just do? I can't believe you said any of that. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, okay, I can't. We need to fix this. I'll be your dating coach. And then it's like, well, let's be your kissing coach. Oh, let me take your virginity. Oh, let's be in love. And then there is like miscommunication and there's separation, but I got it. He has some really intense family drama going on, and the decisions that he makes that separate them, I 1,000% understood why he did what he did. And so even though there were moments where I was like, oh my God, you fucking moron, just be together. I really understood why that happened. Yeah. Oh, what was the spice level? What spice level did I rate? I don't even know. Where too many books. I labeled it spice level 3. So like once they get spice in, they spice.
Decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll take that. But it was a blast.
Michael, I am so sorry about Tiger. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. All right. Gilded Princess.
It sounds like a fun book. It sounds like a fun book.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun that even though it's on Kindle Unlimited, I bought a copy.
Nice. Always a good sign.
It's up there. I bought a copy from Amy when I saw her at the conference. A lot of these at the beginning are going to be conference books. I'm so sorry. Gilded Princess was another one. Penelope Black. Here's what I'm going to say. This book, this title, this snippet lies to you. This book is the start of a series, and it says why choose. There is no why choosing in the first book. It sets it up, but it doesn't happen. And so I felt really let down. I was very upset. When you promise me something in your little like subtitle or whatever it is, I expect it to be delivered in that book. However, I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is a mafia. There's a lot of like mistaken identity. It's not the first series of Penelope Black in this world. There's a cousin of our FMC who has had some drama and is with her own harem why choose situation. So every time she mentioned it, I was like, I haven't read those books. Okay, like stop referencing them. I haven't read them. But I do really appreciate how she talks about the getting together. She's like, oh, it sounds so great to have multiple boyfriends and to be polyamorous, but I would never force that on someone, and I want it to be what they want, and I want to talk about it and how would they feel. So it sets up a really healthy, in my opinion, why choose polyamory situation. It just doesn't happen in the first book. This also ends on a cliffhanger. Okay. There's mafia, there is shenaniganry. So if you can commit to the full series, do so. If not, I might skip it. It's also pretty light on spice. When we get down to it, there's a lot more like making out than, I labeled it as spice level 1. I don't think it like maybe one actual sex scene and then a bunch of making out, which I get because there are more than one book. So if you don't have the patience to gap or your TBR is not as long as mine, read the whole thing and I feel like you'll be much more satisfied. I only read the first one because of what I was aiming to do at that time, and I feel a little let down. Though I enjoyed the writing a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I think my favorite part was the conversation she was having about polyamory and feelings and things of that nature. Also, how all these dudes just kept popping up. It was like, here's my ex-boyfriend. Here's his best friend. Here's his little brother. Here's someone whose name I don't even know. I'm like, oh my
God. I like how much polyamory and that whole lifestyle is being represented more and more in romance novel culture and being talked about more because it's not, as a polyamorous person, it's not talked about. And like, I actually had a conversation with one of my bosses just this past week at work because she didn't understand when I said I had multiple partners. And so I had to explain to her. It was a good conversation. She just didn't understand. So having it out there in more mainstream culture is good. Very good.
It is good. And this was one that talked about multiple boyfriends and not like why choose reverse harem. Like I like it. I like seeing the word polyamory used more in these books because it's not a fetish of romance novels.
Right.
These are people's identities and they have terms and they deserve respect.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. The next one is going to be really short because it's our second book club book.
Yay!
I know. So it was Sunstone Volume 1 and Volume 2 will happen for the book club by Stefan Sajic. Oh yeah, that did not come out of my mouth appropriately, but you know what? That's the way I'm saying it right now. I'll get a better, I either will or won't understand it later. Now this is
Okay, sorry. That was just really funny to me.
I broke her.
True.
Okay, so with This is a queer, sapphic, BDSM graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
I love
That's all
all
I'm
of
telling
those
you.
things.
That's all I'm telling you. Moving on to the first audiobook was Kiss Me First by Anna B. Doe. And this I found out is actually kind of a bridge the gap book between two of her series. It's a couple that appears in her college romance, but is also part of the small town community. I listened to the audiobook. Oh my God, Aiden Snow, you can read me the grocery list, but I will never believe you're a 17-year-old boy. That was my problem. Aiden Snow, like every time I was like, yeah, tell me more. And then he mentioned something about being in high school. I was like, oh, that's right, you're not 17. And this is where like I am a picky bitch because I could not suspend my disbelief enough to believe him as 17. And so I just had to forget it and then be sad when I was reminded of it. I know. I wasn't in love with the female narrator anyway, just her style was not for me. And it might be because she so clearly made an effort to sound younger that juxtaposed with Aiden Snow's beautiful voice, it made me not enjoy it.
And with audiobooks, listening is like enjoying the narrator is the main thing.
And I'm a picky bitch. Like this is a big problem with me in audiobooks is like so the story is high school, girl moves to small town to help her sister who is blind, meets boy who like falls in love with her from afar during football practice. Like he falls first, he falls hard. He's like, I'm done, gonna marry that girl. And you're like, whoa, you're 17, sir. Like let's take it back a bit. And she's like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm like, good for you. But
good for her.
Yeah, it was a really sweet story. They were adorable and he goes the extra mile to help her warm up to him. Like she is like
he woos her?
He woos her. And he proves himself over again. He just shows up and it's, oh my God. Like he takes her sister who is blind and like shows her the horses on his ranch farm. And it's so sweet. And he just embraces, he like immediately steps in as like, I am your partner in life and everything that's in your life, I accept and I want a part of. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot for a 17-year-old. Other thing that's a lot for a 17-year-old, number one, they go from making out to sex. I don't like it. There is a progression. I do not know anyone who was like, I just made out with you, maybe a little over the shirt action, and suddenly you're inside me. Like, nope, that never happens. There are bases that you, especially in high school, you're like, the bases. There are bases that you do before this. There were no bases before they had sex. And I'm like, I don't believe you. And good job, Anna B. Doe. I want to read more adult novels because of what you did with this. But I do not know, Steffi, maybe you can change this. I do not know any 17-year-old boy who never talks about his previous conquest. We don't know, like, as far as I know, this is the first time he's had sex too, except he says it's not, but he never mentions who he did sleep with. But I do not know any 17-year-old boy who was like, yes, I must make sure to stimulate her clit during sex. I was like, I'm so happy for you, but that is unrealistic to me. It's sad that it's unrealistic to me, but it is unrealistic to me.
In this, okay, here's my question. Where was it set? Was
Texas.
It set in America?
Texas.
Oh, that's all fuck no.
You don't have sexual education in Texas?
Not good sexual education.
Yeah. Clearly also it's probably purity culture, like abstinence only. So no, you're not talking about how to satisfy your future spouse.
Unless he has really awesome parents, but
maybe, but he's an only child. So it's not like he has an older brother. Anyway, so that was the most unrealistic thing for me. Really sweet book. And also if Anna B. Doe writes clit stimulation for a high school losing of virginity, I am intrigued to see what she does with the rest of it.
Yes.
The Right Man was a hell no for me by Michelle Mencken, because here's why. I am bitter about this one. It is stated that it's a modern day Cinderella retelling. I fucking love Cinderella. If you tell me it's Cinderella, I will eat that shit up. But this was not Cinderella. This was Pretty Woman. And Pretty Woman is not Cinderella. Pretty Woman is
not
rags
even
to riches.
close.
It's not. There are
No.
plot points that you need to hit for Cinderella. There needs to be a ball. There needs to be an oppressive parental figure. There needs to be a makeover. Like, no, none of this happened. If you called it a rock star romance, I would have been fine. If you called it a rags to riches story, I would have been like, maybe, but whatever. No, you called it a Cinderella story, and I was mad the whole fucking time because you ruined one of my favorite fucking fairy tales. Also, it's Pretty Woman, so she's a hooker.
Is she actually a hooker in the story?
Yes. No, she's like legit. No, like she meets. It's Pretty Woman. She meets him on the street. She like walks up to his fancy car. Yeah. No, it's legitimately Pretty Woman. And he falls so hard and so fast, and then spends like the rest of this time trying to woo her. But I was just mad the whole time. And even though they fuck a lot, I didn't feel like it was well described. I highlighted almost nothing from it. So I know there was so much spice in this book, but it was like maybe a page and a half. I'm like, wow, you got all that done in a page and a half. That's amazing. So she's got a lot in this rockstar world, but this did not intrigue me enough to keep going. Sorry. What did intrigue me was The Keeper by Bella Matthews. This is another book kind of like Blindsided, which comes at the end of a very long list of other books in a series. So for the first 30 pages, I was like, I don't know who any of you, no, actually through the whole book, because they keep introducing people from other books. And I was like, I don't know who you are, or you. I'm sure you've got a book. I'm sure you've got a book, but I don't know you. But this was a great one because it's, I think it's Lindy and Easton. I'm only looking at a list of these book titles and authors. I'm not looking at any of my notes about these books. So this is pure memory, y'all. If you're wondering why this is so light, it's because this is all like, how do I feel weeks later? Lindy and Easton have known each other since they were in their early teens. She's had a crush on him for forever. He's had a crush on her for forever. They're like 5 years apart. They meet up for her 23rd birthday in Vegas. So like at least she's not 21. Yeah. She's an Olympic medaling figure skater. So she's not a child, and he's a professional hockey player, and they're in Vegas for her birthday, and she wakes up the next morning and they're married, but she has no memory of it. And I've read like, oh no, I married someone accidentally while blackout drunk in Vegas. But it's not usually the guy I've been in love with for years marrying the girl he's been in love with for years. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe we did that. What the hell? What's going on? We need an annulment because we didn't have sex last night. Also, she's a virgin. And he's like, no, I will not get you an annulment. You don't remember what happened last night. And she just assumes that it's a joke or it's not real or whatever. And he's like, I will not give you an annulment until you remember. And then when she does remember, so worth it. So he's in Vegas.
I was going to ask if they get to that point, if like they fight, like she remembers. Okay, She remembers. He then, because with hockey, I believe anything, because I know nothing about hockey. I'm like, sure, of course you can make a mid-season trade, whatever. He gets himself traded to her family's hockey team to live and moves into her building because he's like, we're married. We're going to be married. Yeah. But really the drama of this, like their relationship is beautiful and sweet and adorable and like, yay. But the real story of this book is her becoming an adult in the in the eyes of her family. Basically the drama is everyone being like, oh my God, what happened? How could he? Either like, how could he take advantage of you? Or how could you make such a dumbass decision? Yeah. And especially because she doesn't remember what happened. Like she can't even argue with them. But her demanding that she get treated like an adult. And like, that was really great to watch her step into her own. And also when she does remember and their relationship really starts, you're like, so sweet. But I tried to look at, Bella Matthews has this big family tree situation, and I tried to look at it on my phone and it didn't work on my phone. And so then I never tried again. So I'm sure I could have known who everybody was, but I don't. I don't. I'm just like, cool. We put in the extra work here at Jace Reads Romance, y'all.
I was like, you have 8 siblings that are all older than you. I don't know if they're full siblings or like you have a dead dad and a stepdad, whatever. It doesn't matter. Next book was Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This is going to be a very quick one because it's novella style. It's only 220 pages. It is an insular story that takes place at the same time as Powerless. It is Adina's story. She meets a boy named Mac. I'm going to call him a boy because he's 19 and she's like 17. If you've read Powerless, you know how Adina's story ends at the end of that book. So I'm not going to spoil Powerless with the ending of Powerful. What I will say, spoiler, they kiss in this book. They don't kiss in Powerless. It's like a known thing. There's 0 spice. There's not even a kiss in Powerless, but there is a kiss in this book. That's as far as it goes. But like, weirdly enough, when I read that in Powerful, I was like, oh my gosh, a kiss! Like,
compared to like all the other books you read, and you're like, a kiss.
I was like, Lauren Roberts, you did it! But it also gives me hope for the next books in the Powerless series that there could be some amorous moments going forward.
Yes.
Ooh, goodness, that was wrong. Next book, Lessons in Corruption, by Gianna Darling. I was so floored that I liked this book.
Really?
Because it is a reverse. I'm going to call it age gap because to call it a reverse age gap is sexist and wrong. It is an age gap motorcycle club romance.
Ooh, I do like a good motorcycle club romance.
But he's 18 and ends up being her student. And I thought that was going to be, and like there were parts where I'm like, maybe you shouldn't fuck her in her classroom. But Gianna Darling wrote such a mature character in King, the MMC. I was like, you know what? I don't believe that you're 18. I would believe that you're 20, but I'm going to suspend my disbelief because I know that you're saying you're 18. Ooh, pardon. I loved him. I loved him so much. Cressida, terrible name, but Cressida is our FMC and she like sees King. She doesn't know who he is, but she sees him across the parking lot and it makes her like wake up and realize that she's in a terrible loveless marriage and it's not what she wants in her life anymore. And so she leaves her husband. She gets this job at she has a job at an elite private school and King ends up getting transferred into that school. And so like drama, but like he is in it from the beginning and in a way that oh God, it was so funny because I'm like, oh, I don't want to believe this about you, but the way he talks about like how he'll support her and what he does for her is just amazing. Like her ex is terrible. Really? The school is crazy. She has like her sexual awakening because her old husband, like her ex-husband, like wouldn't even let her give him a blowjob. He's like, wow, that's like not cool. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I really enjoyed them as a couple. They got along. They were sweet. They were kind. They were supportive. I could not believe. And there's very little in here about the actual motorcycle club, which probably made it more palatable for me.
Yeah.
Than something like Sicko, where there's a lot of motorcycle club stuff. This one was very light on it, but I loved it. And I have another book of hers on my shelf. It is Serpentine Valentine. It is a Sapphic Medusa retelling.
Oh, I need to put that on my TBR.
I'm so excited.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for it. Next, Silent Vows. Yeah, so I had a motorcycle club book that I did not hate. I actually liked, and I have a mafia book that I actually enjoyed. Silent Vows, Jill Ramsauer. I know. Oh my gosh. Side note, Jill Ramsauer found the video I made of my review and commented on it, and I about shit myself. Because I met her at the conference and I was like, oh my God. But so we've got Noemi and Connor, Italian. Okay. Oh God, here is, I don't even think I gave a synopsis for Lessons in Corruption, but I explained it. Silent Vows. Noemi and Connor end up in an arranged marriage between the Italian and Irish mafia. Oh, and Noemi hasn't spoken for 6 months since she was in a car crash that killed her mom.
Okay, so some pretty heavy trauma.
So like you think maybe, oh no, she hasn't spoken, she's unable to speak. No, she's purposely chosen not to speak because it turns out the car accident was a hit that her dad put on her mom. And she's like, she woke up so angry, but knowing that she couldn't like vomit out all of the secrets she had, that she just hasn't spoken since the accident.
Okay, because she can't say it, so she chooses not to say it. Got it.
She's like, I literally don't know how I can speak and not blurt out the secret, so I'm going to not speak. Also, like, she suspects that her dad believes that she knows what happened, and so she's like, I don't want him to think I know that it's a hit, because she wasn't supposed to be in the car. So messy. But anyway, like Connor chooses her as his arranged marriage bride because she's silent and he thinks she'll be a good docile wife he won't care about. And then he meets her and he's like, no, I like this girl. And their connection is amazing. And they both have to learn how to communicate what's going on in their life. She has to tell the secret. He has to trust her to listen. They get married. It's like, their relationship is really fun to watch because there's a lot of drama. There's mafia drama, but it feels like corporate espionage and not here's the drugs and murder and whatever about it. It sets up for other people in this world. I don't know if I cared enough about them to continue with it, but I liked her writing. I liked the story and I liked her writing and I liked them enough that I was like, God damn it. Why is there another, seriously, Motorcycle Club to Mafia, and I'm enjoying it. It was very weird.
I know. Are you okay? Right.
I don't know. I liked Gilded Princess too.
That's true.
I did like it. His Hollow Heart was next, and this was just a nope for me. This was a nope book.
Oh.
It's dark romance because he kidnaps her from literally like the first page of the present day.
Does it start in the past or does it?
It starts in the past. They were in a group home together. She gets adopted and he basically kidnaps her to like marry. It's so weird and not fleshed out. There is straight up dubcon. She never says no, so it doesn't technically say non-con yet, but like it's dubcon. I'm like, you should have said no, because you in your brain were like, I never want to have sex before I get married, but you're gonna not say no when he bones you against a piano. Like, I don't get it. And then he's like, why did you let me take your virginity? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, I would have stopped if you told me you'd never had sex before. Like, that was a terrible way to lose your virginity. I'm like, shouldn't have fucked her against the piano anyway. But also like, girl, communicate your needs. Like, it was just, I didn't like it. And then it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger where like he disappears and we think he's dead. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then it turns out he's not dead. And I was like, oh, I'm disappointed by that. So there you go. Okay. Here's the one that's going to get me the most flack. Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I did. I finished it. I will never read that book again. Here's why. She did my man wrong. She did him wrong. That book was such a fucking emotional roller coaster. It's long. It is not a short book. It is a long book. And she did him so wrong, did him so dirty.
What's your 3-sentence synopsis?
Fuck the love triangle. That's it. That's all I'm giving you.
That's all you're giving.
I won't even mention other point in the triangle's name because he doesn't deserve to be there. That's it.
Oh, ouch.
I will never read this whole book ever again because she destroyed me. I cried. I actually shed tears during this book.
Whoa.
I know. I don't like that. I don't like shedding tears. That's not why I'm reading romance. That's not why I'm reading. There are some people who like that. And like Mel was like, here are books you need to cry about. And like, that is totally valid. That is not why I am here. I will read parts of this book again because Noah Riley is, honest to fucking God, the best book partner I've ever read in my life.
Okay.
Noah Riley is the person who like sees you at your most broken, but knows who you are underneath and will wait for you to heal and just
wow.
be there for you. Ugh. And like give you his
Wow.
own soul in the process.
Wow.
I know. It was great. Like he's
Until
amazing.
it wasn't.
Until the love triangle. Oh my God, y'all. Like when I tell you I almost threw the book out the fucking window when I got to the hospital scene. If you want to feel the full range of human emotions, read this book. If you're okay with the lighter side of human emotions, don't read this book. Also, this book does come in the middle of a series. So for the first 50 pages or so, you're like, who's Peyton? Who's Lolly? Who's I don't know. I didn't read those other books. This is the only one of hers that I've read. So I just let myself not know and also kind of not care about that. The Fae King's Curse by Jamie Schlosser. I enjoyed this because it was a weird friends to lovers age gap, but not age gap book where Quinn meets Kyrian. It's winter and she saves him from the icy river behind her house. He's blind and he's Fae and he portaled into the human world for his birthday. And he can portal in once a year. So every year on his birthday, he portals in and sees Quinn. But a year in Fae world is a day in our world. So every day to Quinn, he comes back 1 year older and they become best friends. He's blind. He's been cursed. And on her, and she's 12. They're 12 when they meet. So when the real action starts, it's her 18th birthday. She's 18. She's about to go to college. She tells him she's leaving for college and he won't be able to see her again. And she's in love with him and he fucking loses it. And was like, nope, I will not lose you, and absconds with her back to Fairy. Now, the curse that he's under says that he can only kiss his fated mate and he'll recognize her by these visual signs. And he's like, but I'm blind. So like he hasn't found... So like this drama is he hasn't found his fated mate, but like he can't even kiss anyone. So he's like I've never kissed someone ever in my life because I can't, or I'll be cursed blind for forever. So when she tells him this, he kisses her and she's like, oh, no. And he's like, I don't fucking care. I can't imagine loving anyone more than I love you. And I would rather lose my sight than lose you. And then absconds with her to Fairy and they go on this adventure. And it was so sweet. Aww. And the adventure was fun. But like they're also cute because they're already best friends, but it's never one of those it's not one of those second chance best friends where like maybe we like Love Rosie where like they kissed that one time and then it all got fucked to shit. No, they're actually just best friends, and this is the moment when they finally like let it all go, and it felt really cathartic even though we didn't watch it build for years and years. So I enjoyed it a lot. There is about a bunch of fooling around, but only one intimate moment when they lose their virginity to each other, and it's cute.
Okay.
All right, next book, Intercepted by Alexa Martin. We are free of the book conference books for that one because this month is all about the next conference. Oops. June, not May. But Intercepted was recommended by a friend. It is a sports kind of second chance. Okay. After finding out her boyfriend of on and off 11 years was cheating on her the entire time, Marley swears off all football players, but can she resist the quarterback from a one-night stand so long ago that's now the new quarterback on the team her ex plays for?
Okay.
Yeah. And the answer is no, she cannot resist him. Here's a book where a third act breakup made me go, thank you, you needed this.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
I know. I don't usually like a third act breakup. This one I was like a thank you, sir. Because so much of like they re-meet right at the time of her breakup with her terrible, terrible ex-boyfriend. And they have so much baggage to overcome. Really, she has so much baggage to overcome. And it's not fair for her to figure out who she is in her life post ex-boyfriend. She's been with him since she was 16. She's 27. Like, she doesn't even know how to adult without him. And
Right.
when you're dealing with the intensity of Gavin, the quarterback, it's really hard to figure out who you are on your own. And she's just managed to escape the terrible racist wags, wives and girlfriends of the team. And like, does she want to go back into that with more drama because she's now dating the quarterback? Just so much. And so when they had this third act breakup, for reasons that I feel were really valid, the separation allowed them to become the couple and the relationship that I feel like they both deserved.
Okay. So you said racist. Is she a person of color?
She is a person of color. Sorry. She is mixed
Okay.
race. She states that, and her like best friend in the WAGs is also mixed. And that's a problem that they have with the other WAGs in this in this story. But Gavin is white.
Okay.
Gavin is white. It's
Okay.
a BWWM, Black woman, white man
Yeah.
situation. And I loved it. I thought it was really fun. There are 3 other books in this series. So yeah, if you want a series of sports romance shit, go for it. And Alexa Martin is a person of color as well, the author herself.
Okay. Okay.
Next, we got another one. And so this was one of the things, and like Michael, put this wherever you want, but if you've heard me, I had a really hard time in the month of May because I wanted to get through a lot of authors for the conference I was going to, but most of those authors, pretty everyone but one, was white. And so it meant that so many books that I read were not by people of color and not sharing those kinds of stories. And it was really hard for me as someone who is trying to prioritize those. And I think when looking at the conferences I have coming up next, based on how I felt, I would rather read fewer authors but be true to my desire and my real intentionality of placing queer and people of color authors on my list versus the authors who I'm going to potentially be in a room with. Because by the end of May, I was like, I felt so icky looking at this very, very, very white list because that's not who I am and who I want to be as a reader. So,
right.
Cool. Stars and Smoke by Marie Lu. This is a zero spice book. They don't get together at all. There is a sequel. I kind of want to read it. Basically, premise is super awesome private spy has to work with most famous pop star in the world to thwart a bad guy.
Yes.
It was great.
Yes.
It was great. Winter and Sydney. Winter is the pop star. He is a person of color. Sydney is white. She is the super secret spy. They're also both like 18, 19 years old. So it's new adult. It was a lot of fun. It was action adventure. I wouldn't even call this romance because they don't end up together, but they kind of do because at the end it's like, hello, are you ready for your next assignment? And there's a sequel coming out in the next month or so. So I really enjoyed that. But if you're not looking for romance, if you're looking for more of like an action story, like this was it.
I love that.
Oh God. Next we have Scream for Us by Molly Doyle. If you've ever been on social media and you've heard this audio clip that's a countdown, like I'm going to give you 10 seconds to leave. That one.
Yep.
It came from this book. It came from this novella. Yes, I literally looked up where the fuck that came from. I was like, I need to know because people are obsessed with this audio and use it for so many things. And I was like, where is this from? So it's from this novella, which is a prequel novella to the series at large. And even in the description of this novella, Molly says there is no plot. There is no plot. It is how they meet, spice and murder. That's it. Spice and murder.
Spice and murder. That's the new that's my new cookbook. So
oh, amazing. I'm only saying it's not a 5 chili peppers because it's so short, but like percentage of words that are spice, it is It's so many chili peppers. I loved how it was written. There was so much consent and so much checking in and lube. There was a lube and there was prepping for anal. And so I was like, oh God, I literally reached out to Nat at Trigger Warning. I was like, have you read Molly Doyle? Because I trust you. Should I read the next one? Because I liked it so much. And they treat her so, even though they're murdering everyone who was ever mean to her in high school, but they treat her like gold.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah. Oh goodness. Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. Before I get into the synopsis, I will let you know that I have already purchased the second book in the series and pre-ordered the third.
Always a good sign.
It is from the series If Shakespeare Was an Auntie. If you know me, I love Shakespeare. It's so good.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure this is Taming of the Shrew.
Oh my God.
I love it. Nisha Sharma is also Indian. So we get another view from that. I was really looking to up my AAPI authors in May as well. So I prioritize those. Oh man, the banter is good. He basically spends all of this time wooing her. So it's Taming of the Shrew. That's my 3-sentence synopsis.
That's your synopsis?
That's my synopsis. If Shakespeare Was an Auntie, Taming of the Shrew edition. And he spends the whole book wooing her to convince her to be his fake fiance for reasons that don't really matter. And she's like, but I want a love match, but I love dates with you. And then they actually get together. Y'all, the spice. When they start spicing, the spice is so spicy. Wait, I almost sent you a picture of it. Wait, let me read this out loud to you.
Okay.
I almost sent this to you. Like, quite literally, Steffi. I was like, oh, she's going to love this.
Yes.
Where are we? Oh. Oh my God, the spice was so well written. She uses anatomical terms, and like when I saw like labia, I was like, yes, thank you. Like he kissed my labia, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. Okay, wait, here. Oh God, it's so good. I'm gonna blush so hard.
I'm so excited.
Good little Indian girls don't get finger fucked in the shed, he said roughly as he pushed his fingers inside her. The sound of her gasp was like music to his ears. He let her adjust to his intrusion, then slowly retracted and pushed back inside her with a little more force. But you're a dirty girl, aren't you? I knew you were different the moment we met.
Yes. Oh my God, that's amazing.
I know. I know.
Y'all, Jace is so red right now. It's adorable.
It's like, woo! I thought I liked Good Girl. I did not realize I liked Dirty. Oh, no, I kind of did, because there's a book and it's like, oh my God, the degradation is so fucking
they gotta
sexy.
do it. They gotta do it well, and that was done well.
That was done well. Oh my God. Also, even though there aren't a lot of scenes, anytime you include rimming, I'm gonna up your spice points. So if you're like, but there aren't a lot of intimate scenes, no, but if you include rimming, I'm gonna up your spice points.
I love it.
Okay. Next is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. And this is on my list because vampires.
Of course.
It's fantasy vampires, though, and not paranormal vampires, which means it takes place in its own world. And these vampires have wings.
Ooh.
So I'm going to try and give you a synopsis without referencing another book. Oriah competes in the vampire murder games in honor of their dark goddess in order to receive a gift at the end.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So that's Araya. She is human. She is raised by vampires. She enters this contest where basically you have to, it's like you have to, everyone, only one can, only one, there can
There
only
can
be
be
one
only one,
standing.
like
There can be
Highlander?
only one. I would rather do Highlander than another book. And one of her competitors is, I'm going to say Rain. I'm sure that's not how you pronounce his name because they're like Raihan, Rahan. I don't care. And they pair up for what they know will be the partner event. There are like multiple events over multiple weeks.
Okay.
And in honor of their dark goddess, it follows her story of ascension. It doesn't fucking matter. But one of the events is always a partner fight challenge.
Uh-huh.
And so she pairs up with him. And as they learn to fight together, they fall for each other. Most of this book is not spice. Most of this book is fighting. If you're looking for a spicy book, this is not it. It spices only at the very, very end. It ends on a cliffhanger. There are going to be a bunch of books in this series.
Okay.
I'm
How
going to
many
say
more
if
books do you have?
I have none of them. They're all on Kindle Unlimited. I didn't even buy this
Okay.
book when I saw it in paperback at the bookstore yesterday. Thank you very much. Didn't do
Job.
it. Thank you. But if you liked Powerless, but you wanted vampires, you will like this book.
This is it. Okay.
Yeah, there was nothing there was nothing bad about this book. It was really interesting. The world was built well. I understood it. It didn't feel like too much exposition. It didn't feel like I was sitting in the dark when I shouldn't have been. I wasn't expecting a cliffhanger. Honestly, I wasn't expecting the twist at the end. So,
ooh.
But I'm also never expecting a twist at the end. That doesn't say much. It really doesn't say much about me. So I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to read the next ones. Like the next ones are on
Of
my
course.
list. It's going to happen because vampires.
Vampires. Yep.
Loveless and Fancy Ships by Sarah Grunder Ruiz. This also, it technically is a love story. She ends up with her guy at the end, but it isn't about her relationship with him. This really is a story about healing after tragedy. Her nephew was killed in a car accident, and her nieces come to stay with her over the summer while her sister and her brother-in-law work on the marriage that has crumbled under the weight of this tragedy. And so while there is a love story going on, it is also zero spice. There's like some making out and that's it. It's really a story about healing. There are more in this series. I don't know if the other ones are going to be more romance than not. But that was when I finished that book, I went, I liked it and I feel so happy for them, but I also don't feel like I read a romance novel.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 Holidays and a Wedding by Uzma Jalaluddin and Marissa Stapley. When I did my video for this book, I cried. And here's why. I am someone who does not celebrate Christmas. It is not for me. It is not in my, it has never been a holiday that I have connected to. And Christmas time in America can feel really lonely. And this book was like the Christmas story for all humans who don't celebrate Christmas. It takes place in the year 2000, which means it's before cell phones, which is a great plot device. But it is a Muslim family during Ramadan sorry.
Oh, wow.
A plane is diverted to a tiny town in Canada that explodes Christmas. We follow a Muslim family in the middle of Ramadan and a woman who's struggling with Hanukkah after the death of her father and estrangement from her stepmother.
Oh, wow.
And to watch these two humans, number one, they meet on the plane and they immediately, it's like a story about, yes, there's love. And I will say this is a romance novel because there is love and people end up together and there's a lot of like romantic shit happens. But at the core of it is these two women who form this bond and this friendship. And like this town that explodes Christmas embraced and honored these humans and their families who were not participating in Christmas. There were halal restaurants and there was a space for them to have and break their, like eat before sunrise and eat after sunset and
Oh,
menorahs and like it was like everything that I've ever wanted, because sometimes it can feel like you're so alone when you don't participate in that holiday. This is also a zero spice book. My God, after dating Dr. Dale, it was like, do you even read spice? But it was really, this was a book that just made my heart so happy, even though it's June. If you need a little holiday, read this book. I only have 3 more books. I can do this. So next book, Philip's Rules by Golden Angel. Golden Angel wrote his favorite hoo cow under the other name Sinister Egg. I know. This is why I wanted to get through this. Okay, so not the same. It's not the same world. This is her Regency romance, but
ooh,
oh God, this is a spanking romance. Okay.
Oh man.
Widow marries Marcus, who it's called like the series is called Bridal Discipline, who introduces her to the good and bad kind of spanking.
Oh my God, yes.
And so I will say that Golden Angel does such a great job just like honoring kink in all of its forms, and I'm so glad that I read this. It's so funny, and there are 2 types of spanking. There's the good spanking, and then there's disciplinary spanking. And I think what this book does a really good job of is showing how kink connects couples. That even when there was discipline, it wasn't to hurt, to harm. It was in service of their relationship and brought them closer together. And that was really, really lovely. But even though she's a widow, her late husband did not show her some good lovemaking at all. So she's basically a virgin who's like not technically a virgin in this book, which is fine. But in terms of how kink was portrayed, it resonated with me so hard, even though that's not my kink, because it was part of the whole the bigger relationship. It didn't fetishize it, even though it's like a fetish. It didn't fetishize it. It was something that they did together, and you could see that connection that it built. So, oh my goodness. Also, I know she does. Oh my gosh, Golden Angel has so many. Yeah. So many books under Golden Angel. If you're not into hoo cows, but you're looking for kink. If This Gets Out oh my God, this book. I haven't read a fade to black in so long that literally my note was like, did this fucking fade to black? But it is a bi-awakening boy band pop star romance.
Oh my God.
It was great, even though there's no spice because it's all fucking faded. Here's the part that annoyed me so much is they had like lead ups that were like, oh my gosh, we talked about PrEP and condoms and lube. And then it's like, oh my goodness, what a magical weekend we had. I'm like, fuck you. I mean, I know you did, but like, God damn it. Like, but also like, I think those conversations, so many of those conversations or like what we got about those conversations were posthumously or after the fact. And
post.
I think
just say
post were post the conversation. And I think it does a disservice to maybe the young queer humans who are about to have those conversations for the first time and could use an example. It's important that they have a conversation about protection and PrEP and lube and all of those things, but having it put out there that they are not scary, that they can be really fun and sexy and interesting, that's important. So that was the part about the fade to black that annoyed me most, is I feel like we got the highlight reel or the description of what happened and not what actually happened. The best part about this book was watching both of these young men and the other 2 men in the boy band with them. They are both white, but the other 2 members are people of color. All fight against the identities that the management company has forced upon them over the last few years, including hiding sexuality, but also being sexy or being pure or being, too clean. It just because I think in some way, shape, or form, all of us go through that. All of us put on a mask especially when we're in high school and we have an insular community and we know how to present ourselves there. And then we just long for the freedom of how do we express who we truly are, especially if the mask doesn't fit. So that was really great.
Yeah.
And then the last book, it's going to be a very short one because this was another audiobook. It's Angel's Blood by Nalini Singh, who is an author of color who has been writing for years and years and years. And I did not realize that Angel's Blood was about angels, but also vampires. Oh my gosh. And it set up the rest of this series. There are 15 books in this series so well. And I know people have been reading Nalini Singh for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I am sorry that it's taken me so long to get here, but I'm with you. I feel this. I want this. The lore around how angels and vampires exist and their powers and how they're created and how they die I had to really listen for context because it was unlike anything that I'd ever read. And from me, that is saying something. I thought because I was a little nervous about Angel's Blood. I'm like, oh God, I know that you're a person of color, but that doesn't mean that you're not all for Jesus. That doesn't mean there's not going to be some absolute bullshit in here, and there wasn't. It's not related to religion at all. It is so great. I feel like my only complaint, and this could be listening and not reading, was I didn't feel like the sex scenes were long enough. I wanted more. I wanted more.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. But I think this is a series that follows the same couple. Maybe because there was some like really big drama at the end of this book. I'm not even going to tell you. It's not fair.
Please don't.
I'm not going to tell you at all. But Raphael is an amazing angel. Loved him. And Elena is a hunter. She's a born hunter, which means she is born with like super strength and smell. And basically, Archangel Raphael hires Elena to hunt down what she believes is a rogue vampire. But is it?
Oh.
I know.
Oh, I like this.
But is it?
I like this.
This is very bloody. There is a lot of gore described.
Makes sense.
So if you are not someone who can handle that type of conversation, sorry. Not sorry, but like be warned, dismembered bodies are mentioned and described in great detail.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And that's it. I did it. 27 fucking books. Okay.
You did it.
That's it for today, y'all. This has been a 3 Paws Productions podcast. Our producer is Sephi. Michael Achenbach is our patient editor. Our theme song is written and performed by Diana Weishauer. You can find show notes and so much more at jacereadsromance.com. That's JAYCE Reads Romance. Follow along on TikTok and Instagram at Jace Reads Romance. If you'd like to ask a question or share a story for the podcast, call and leave a message at 661-JACE-RR. That's 661-529-2377. Or send an email to jace@jacereadsromance.com. Finally, like and subscribe so you can get every episode when they drop. You can also leave us a review to help others find us. And remember, this is Jace holding space for you.